Welcome, everybody. Welcome to FlexRx, episode 15. We're going to be getting into it. We got the show, your favorite show, at Tuesdays, 2 p.m. EST on a weekly basis. And in today's topic, we're going to be talking about some of my favorite things for cutting, which I'm very excited about. And we'll be getting into it. But yeah, this is the 15th episode of FlexRx, where we talk about fitness, learning, enduring on our way to excellence. So we are getting things moving. So we are live now on Instagram as well. What's going on? If you guys have any questions, the best way to submit questions that I can handle and give you an answer to is we're going to be on YouTube most likely. So if you pop in there and submit a question, if you are on Instagram, sometimes in the feed it gets lost, but it's really easy to come back to on the YouTube feed. But appreciate you guys being on this one. Let's get into today's topic. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about a few of my favorite things for fat loss phases. So what I find with myself, every time I go into a fat loss phase, the deeper I get into it, I start having these frequent flyers or these like toxic ex-girlfriends that I just can't escape from, and I just keep coming back to them. So I want to share those foods with you guys. So what are these kind of, frequent foods that I keep returning to? So I'm going to give you guys like my top 10 plus foods for fat loss. In terms of, I find myself when I'm deep into a fat loss phase, when I'm getting those really tough to lose, last couple pounds, what do I actually eat? What are some of those foods I eat, more often? So we're going to start things off. The first one that I'm going to say in this list is going to be my current obsession, probably the obsession of the last year or two. And that's going to be my good old Ninja Creamy. I talk about, the Ninja Creamy so much that, they need to give me a discount code and start, giving me some rebates or something. That would be nice. But as far as what is the Ninja Creamy? So it is an ice cream maker. And ice cream makers, you guys may have been here. Like, I've been alive since 1994. And when I got into fitness, let's say in more of the 2010s and let's say, 2015 or so, I tried making protein ice cream. We had different things. They had those ice cream makers where, like, I think you would freeze the thing and then it would just like kind of scrape it as it goes, and it would make this kind of like half-assed kind of, is it ice cream? Is it not? Is it ice? Like, it's kind of trying to be something, but it's not very tasty. I did like zucchini ice cream. Banana ice cream didn't have the greatest of macros, but we can say it's healthy. But finally, I think it was 2023, maybe 2022, the technology that, ice cream makers in an actual like kind of restaurant setting, that technology of like what they use, I think it's like a $6,000 machine or something. Apparently that was then, allowed to be used by other companies. And I think Ninja was the brand that made like a, was it countertop size one? And I mean, at the end of the day, it just makes really good protein ice cream that's low calorie. And I'm a big fan. I've been a big fan with like, the Enlightened ice creams, the Halo Top ice creams. Still love those brands, but I do have to say it's kind of tough when it's $5 to, $8 per pint of ice cream. And they often are like, let's say 400 calories per pint. When now with the Ninja Creamy, you can make your own concoction for like a plain vanilla, 200 calories and like 26 grams of protein. It's ridiculous. I just ate one right before this. So I love these Ninja Creamies because I'm able to get, I love ice cream, probably like one of my favorite foods. And so I'm able to eat a lot more ice cream for less calories. And also these things, like, it's a pretty big pint. So that is probably my number one thing. So I've been eating a lot of Ninja Creamies. And I noticed when I'm in a surplus phase, I eat less of them. When I was in my contest prep, I was having 4 to 8 of these, pints of ice cream on a daily basis. It was something wild. And what's in my actual like recipe for those creamies is a scoop of Peace Science Cake Pop. Has been the best one that I've seen for it. This is it's a whey casein blend. I think we're going to talk about this later, but this is actually sugar-free Jello pudding mix. It's kind of like a thickener that also tastes really good. I don't have the rest of the ingredients, but it's pretty much almond milk, unsweetened almond milk, and a pinch of salt, and that's pretty much it, and some sweetener. And that's going to be pretty much what it is, and that's going to be my 200 calorie base. Then if you want to get fancy, you can throw in like more chocolate kind of flavors or something, but that's like the lowest calorie base that I've been able to create and find. So that is like one of my obsessions, and that's kind of been my obsession right now. I kind of around now, I've been having 2 to 4 of those on a daily basis in my 2,500 calories per day while I'm trying to get leaner. So that's one. And the reason why I like it is because I get a lot of ice cream, one of my favorite foods. I get a lot of protein out of it, and I get a lot of volume out of it. So it's something that I always return to when I'm in a fat loss phase. This last contest prep in 2023 when I won my pro card in natural bodybuilding, and also now when I'm doing more of a funsy, fun cut for the summer. I'm down from like 230 to 220, and I'm trying to get to around 215, and then I'll kind of figure out if I want to maintain / slowly bulk, because I do have a marathon that I do want to compete in towards the end of the year. Number 2, a food that I also tend to gravitate to, or just like one of my favorite foods in cutting in a fat loss phase, was cauliflower rice. So cauliflower rice is another one. And I'm telling you guys some of these foods, telling you guys these foods that I've been, that I've gravitated into at different, times during my career. I've had kind of on different seasons, different years or fat loss phases, there's like usually one food that I gravitate to. So probably this was like 2020. Oh no, this is more like 2018's food. That was cauliflower rice. So cauliflower rice, it looks like rice. It doesn't, I guess rice doesn't taste like much. Cauliflower rice doesn't taste like much. Cauliflower doesn't taste like much. So it's kind of like the same thing. You get a ton more volume for the amount of calories, and you can just throw it in the microwave, and then you're pretty much good. So cauliflower rice was a cheat code to get more volume for less calories, or you can go 50-50 with white rice and cauliflower rice. Really easy way to get more volume in. And so when we're trying to be in a fat loss phase, we want to be in a calorie deficit, and that's kind of the game plan. So cauliflower rice is number 2. Super convenient, easy to make, easy to cook because you just throw it in the microwave. So that's another one that I tend to gravitate to. Although these more recent years just hasn't been something that I've been, so much into. But going into number 3, the third one that that I would say that I'm a big fan of, and this one I do have pretty frequently, Greek yogurt. Plain, fat-free Greek yogurt. So you can get a ton of volume with that. You can throw that in with, this is the cheat code. So plain fat-free Greek yogurt. The reason I don't have it in here as a prop is because it's dairy and I don't want to like sit in here in case it gets warm or something. But you can throw some of this on. So mix in some vanilla pudding mix. It thickens up the Greek yogurt, and then add some sweetener, and you'll be able to get like, oh man, the macros on fat-free plain Greek yogurt, you'll get like 23 grams of protein for like less than 10 grams of carbs. It's pretty crazy, and you can get a lot of volume out of it as well. So that opens up some cooking opportunities. One tried and true recipe that I like to use is just a little bit. So it's Greek yogurt. It's a little bit of vanilla pudding mix, and then it's PB2. So powdered peanut butter, and then that makes a really good kind of dip. Fat-free Greek yogurt, anywhere you'd want to use sour cream. Yeah, and fat-free sour cream, I've tried it. I actually made Nicole, my wife, I made us taco dip once, and I used fat-free sour cream, and it was a lot of it. And that's where I went wrong. And we were kind of like, are you into this? And she's like, are you into this? And neither of us were into it. So fat-free sour cream, I noticed with a lot of dairy things, I mean, Greek yogurt passes the test. Fat-free cheeses, hit or miss. They're kind of rubbery. Fat-free ricotta cheese, it's also kind of a miss. Fat-free cream cheese, it works for me. So it's kind of like, it's a little hit or miss when you go with fat-free dairy. So be careful out there. Usually low fat is where you're going to be best off, especially when it comes to cheeses. But fat-free, plain Greek yogurt, a little bit of sweetener. That is one of my favorite things when I am in a fat loss phase. Number 4, I don't know. You guys should have heard me talk about this. It's in my captions all the time, but watermelon. Huge fan of watermelon. You can have almost a pound of watermelon for 100 calories. It is a ton. We have a watermelon on the counter right now, and apparently they keep for like 2 weeks if you put it in the fridge. If you find a good one, it's got a really bright yellow spot, you put it in the fridge, it'll keep for like 2 weeks. We just didn't get to it for like 2 weeks. So we gotta toss this watermelon. It's a sad day, but you get a ton of volume for this. Watermelon's probably before the Ninja Creamies came out, and that's been kind of like my love the last 2 years. It was the reign of watermelon. Say that was like 2019, 2022 in those areas. I think that I was having like a pound of watermelon, about 2 pounds of watermelon. I think that was on a daily basis during my previous contest prep, I think in 2019. So big fan of it. You get a ton of volume, but there's no buts. It's awesome. Like, just get some more watermelon, and that's going to be really useful for having in your repertoire, your toolbox for fat loss. All right, and now next one we got on the list. Some of my favorite things for fat loss phases. Number 5 is going to be gum. So gum is one, and this has kind of like a two. It's like a 1-2 punch. So it's a left right. So I actually just got this. This is 180 pieces. So not sponsored by Orbit or Big Wrigley's. I don't know if they're owned by Wrigley's. They are owned by Wrigley's, but I like the bubble mint. I think it's pretty good. So I just get these big packs, but I'll take them down. Like 3 to 5 pieces at a time. But I'll talk about that in a little bit. But so the cool thing about gum is it says it's like 5 calories. It's usually like sugar-free and stuff. It's good for the teeth, saliva, all that stuff. So you want to keep those pearly whites. That being said as well, the thing with gum is I think for, if it's 1 or 2 calories per piece, I think that, the amount of chewing you do kind of negates it. That's just my kind of guess, but chewing doesn't burn too many calories. But what chewing gum does is, one thing is just a lot of times we just want to keep our mouths busy. That's the words that came out. And so be that if we're chewing on carrots, or be that celery while we're watching some TV, be that we're chips, whatever, you typically like to just snack or chew on something. So if it's going to be pretty much, net 0 calories, chew some gum. If you get some mint gum, it kind of ruins whatever you eat or drink after it. Like, if you have some minty gum, like the food, you don't want to like take it out and then like whatever you eat next is going to taste kind of weird, or it doesn't taste good. So with that being said, gum is kind of impactful in the way that it keeps your mouth busy. It's pretty much like 0 calories. And I think thirdly is it'll make anything that you may like, the sweet stuff, it may make it just not taste as good. So for me, I like using gum because it's going to be something that does keeps my mouth busy. Especially if I'm going to be watching something like late at night and I'm like, all right, I want to snack a little bit, but when I put in some gum, I'm like, okay, well, like, I'm busy. So it kind of like, it decreases that impetus for me to snack and consume calories. So gum, I think, could be really useful. And that's something that I'd say in these last 2 fat loss phases for myself, had these kind of in the mix more. Back in the day, I used to do those extra dessert delights. They had like a chocolate chip mint one, and I would just go to town on that. And I picked up, I'll tell you guys, I picked up a terrible habit. And if anyone resonates with this, let me know, because it's a weird thing. But you know how Extra has like, they'll do 5 columns of pieces of gum. All right. And so when I was younger, when I was like 10 years old, my sister was chewing a pack of gum. And by chewing a pack of gum, what I mean is she would put in like 3 sticks of gum at once. She'd chew it for about like 2-3 minutes. Then she would like crumple it up and go to the next piece. So it would just be like the fresh flavor every time. And then she'd be done the pack in like an hour or something. I was like, that's weird. And she's like, yeah, that's just how I like to have my gum. And then I kind of picked up that same habit. So now if I have like a 15 stick of gum, usually it's kind of like chapstick. Like, this will last you. Chapstick is like, oh, I get one of these. As long as I don't lose it, I'm going to be able to have chapstick for like a month or two. But more than that. But like with the and the gum, usually you get a pack of gum. It's like, okay, I'm good for like a week or something. But yeah, the way that I've come up with gum is like, that thing's getting raw. So that's why I have the 180 piece. And so I'll pop like 3 to 5 pieces in, chew it for like 5-10 minutes, and then I'll like probably just put another 3 to 5 fresh pieces. I wonder if anybody's like me and just like rips through gum. And when we say that they're like, we assume they're like net neutral in terms of calories. When you're ripping through that much gum, I could be wrong. Maybe there's probably some calories in there. Number 6 is going to be rice cakes. Something that I've actually started to like a little bit more recently. And that, I don't know, since my last contest prep, I had to have a lot of rice cakes towards the end because we just kind of get like meal plan towards the end of it. I've actually really started to like rice cakes as a snack. So I actually use these white cheddar ones. The reason why is because chocolate rice cakes are definitely the best. And let's be honest, rice cakes aren't going to blow you away with flavor. But it's more so the volume, and they're fun to eat in my opinion. So I really like them. Chocolate rice cakes are 60 calories per. So if you have a whole sleeve, it's 7 of them. So it's 420 calories. This one, if you have a whole sleeve, they're 45 calories. So you can have a whole sleeve, which is going to be 7 of them. And that's going to be 315 calories. So for me, when I'm thinking of like a snack, 300 calories, I can allocate as a snack. 7 of these will keep me more busy. So I've actually really liked that. And since it's more of like, I guess you could call that cheesy is savory. So I kind of like snacking on these. If I'm just like passively going to snack, or in the case of running, if I'm going to have like, 2-3 rice cakes before I go for a run, it sits easy in the stomach. And I feel that that's been really useful for me. So I've enjoyed those because it's kind of, again, it'll keep me busy. Now, next up, the next one I want to go over is one of my favorite things. These are, I just love these anytime, but flavor packets. So flavor packets for water. If you're somebody who struggles getting in water, it's 2024. Like, get with the times. Get with the times. Because we got so many great things in the world in 2024 to get more water, get more fluid in. So if you're peeing out, if your pee looks orange and kind of like, yeah, I got no metaphors, but like if it's orange or like if your pee is like super yellow, like you got to give them some more water. I'm not someone who's going to say you have to like force down like 2 gallons a day of water, but like if it burns when you pee, you probably want to get more water in, or you may want to go to a doctor. But this is going to be what I like now. These have gotten kind of expensive over time, flavor packets, but here are ones that I found on Amazon. These are tropical flavors for Skittles. So you got 30 packs. I think it's like $4.50, so maybe $5. And you get a ton, but they are 5 to 10 calories per stick. But it'll help you get more water down. And these flavors are actually like really fun. Strawberry starfruit, really good. Mango Tangelo. I'm mixed on mango flavors. I'm usually not the biggest mango guy. Kiwi lime, banger. Pineapple passion fruit, pretty good too. But kiwi lime and strawberry starfruit, I love looking forward to drinking those, especially after a run. And then I have this half-gallon jug, so I'll put like 2 of these in with Element, which is like an electrolyte powder. I'll put that in too. And if you're also still struggling, I got a Soda Stream. And then you can just have a bunch of diet sparkling beverages. So there should be no reason to not hit your hydration targets and to be, taking a leak and being like, wow, that's really yellow. Number 8. Yeah, number 8. So the next one we're going to go into, it's not really controversial. It's just facts, but I really like energy drinks. I personally like them. Energy drinks are just carbonated beverages that have caffeine in them. And I really like, Monsters, 3D's good, Versa, which P Science just came out with, Alani New. I love energy drinks. I think that they taste really good and they get really fun flavors. You don't really find too many caffeine-free, unflavored energy drinks. And I think a lot of people get placeboed into like, this is doing a lot. But also caffeine is actually very impactful for strength training and those kinds of things. But also what energy drinks do, and I think I noticed that, be it strategically or be it behind the scenes, caffeine is an appetite suppressant. It's a stimulant. So it tends to suppress your appetite a little bit. So if you're having more caffeine or, your teas, your coffees, if you're having that in the mix, that is going to help suppress your appetite a little bit. So I know for me, when I'm like in this office, I like to sip down, a Monster. One of my favorite flavor energy drinks is actually just the good old tried and true, the original Monster flavor. When it had the blue, fangs or claw mark on it, it's like 10 calories or 25 calories. And now they came out with like the 0. I actually really, really like that plain Jane flavor. And I actually, out of all the Monsters, I think that's my number one. For that one, just like the OG. The watermelon's pretty good. The grape is decent. But yeah, I'm not one of the guys who goes for like the white Monster over anything else. Also, shout out to you, Greg. Thank you for the super like or the I don't know what these are called, but the donation to make sure Elon and Yumi get their treats. So appreciate you. Purple Monster Ultraviolet is the best. Yes, it's definitely up there. I like grape for sure. Actually, like I was just thinking the other day, there's not too many diet grape sodas out here. And then I was at one of those restaurants that has like a soda stream, and they actually had diet Fanta grape. Fanta. It was pretty good. It was also 0 caffeine, so I was pretty happy. Now moving on to number 9. Some of my favorite things. I'm just going to put these all together. So actually I had 9, 10, and 11. So I'm going to put them all together. And this is just going to be a ton of veggies. And here are some of my favorite ones. So number 9 is going to be celery because it's pretty much 0 calories. Like I think a pound of celery is something like 40 calories or something, or 20 calories. I got to triple check that, but it's very low. Carrots, super crunchy. I actually really like the taste of carrots, so I snack on those. 9 ounces of carrots, so put that into, that's 3/4 of a pound. So a pound of, so a pound of carrots is something like it's like 150 calories, 160 calories, I think. But I love carrots. I mean, I think crunchiness is a satiety signaler. So carrots being so crunchy that I think that they do have pretty good impact there. I just also think they're delicious. And then BAS, B-A-S, which stands for Big Ass Salads. That's something I got from Matt Ogus back in the day. I think he would always like prepare some giant salads and you get some low calorie dressing, and lettuce at the end of the day is crunchy water. Celery is pretty much crunchy water. A lot of the vegetables out here are crunchy water. Watermelon, cantaloupe, strawberries, honeydew, a lot of those are pretty much crunchy water. You can find a lot of foods for like a pound of it. You can get for like less than 150 calories. And if you're filling up on a lot of those foods, it's going to make your diet a lot easier to stick with. So what I want to do today, and now we got some good questions that I want to hop into. But I want to share with you guys first some of my favorite things when it comes to foods when I'm in a fat loss phase. These are foods that for some reason or another, I gravitate to more and more to help keep me full and keep me happy. Because Ninja Creamy is number 1. They're good for the body, but more importantly, good for the soul. So if you don't have one, I'd recommend getting one. I don't have a discount code. I just think technology in 2024 is pretty sweet. So some of my favorite things for fat loss phases: Ninja Creamy for some high protein, low calorie ice cream, cauliflower rice, Greek yogurt, watermelon, chewing on gum, rice cakes, flavor packets for water, energy drinks. But don't overdo it. Don't have like 10 energy drinks and be saying like, oh, Kevin said so, because you're going to have a bad time if you have like 10 energy drinks. And then also a ton of vegetables, celery, carrots, and big ass salads. So I hope this was helpful for you guys, and we're going to get into some Q&A now. All right, let's get into it. So Greg, I'm going to handle your questions first because you donated and you're the best. So can you explain net carbs? I understand it's calculated by taking total carbs minus fiber, but how does it impact the body and diet? Thank you. Really good question, because this is a reason that a lot of people get confused. And then even like myself, I have to be like, how am I going to track these things? So when it comes to net carbs, here's a couple things going on. So we have carbs that are just plain carbs, and they're going to be 4 calories per gram. And that's going to be a normal carb. Then you have fiber. And fiber actually has subcategories. So insoluble fiber is actually 0 calories per gram. But I'll return to that. And then you have soluble fiber, which often varies. So this can be probably anywhere from like 0 to 4 calories per gram. I don't think it's typically 0. So fiber is going to be an average. Is it 0 calories? No. On average, it's going to be around 2 calories per gram for fiber. So when we're doing net carbs, we'll get there first. So when we're doing net carbs, if you're just subtracting fiber from carbs, it's not fully accurate in either direction. Because if we have 10 grams of carbs, 2 of them are fiber, and we're just subtracting those 2 grams of fiber, we're acting like those calories do not exist no matter what. But we don't know if it's insoluble fiber or if it's most likely going to be 2 calories per gram, because then it's going to be something in the middle. So we also have things like sugar alcohols. And these can vary heavily. So there's a variety of these. You have sorbitol, and this is off memory. I don't think I'm positive on it. I think it's like 2 calories per gram. You have erythritol, and this is actually like 0.2 calories per gram. So erythritol is very low. And I believe, what's the one that I use? Oh, I think I have erythritol in the fridge. And then you have like your basic, your aspartames, your sucralose. I'm pretty sure that these are like very low. Like very low. I don't know the exact amount, but I think sorbitol is kind of like in that higher range. It's not really 0 calories. It's like 2 calories per gram. So you also have a variance here as well. And so sometimes, actually, no, the net carb calculation is net carbs equals carbs minus fiber minus sugar alcohols. And then that equals net carbs. That's all on that other side. But as we just discussed, not every gram of fiber is 0 calories. Not every sugar alcohol is very, very low in terms of their calories. There's a variance there as well. So this is where people get confused with net carbs and why I feel it's not 100% accurate. And here's what I actually recommend. And this is what I recommend with our HFP clients in my coaching program and what I recommend most people to do. So this will simplify the noise. So we'll just put it down here. Simplify the noise. Have a target carb amount. Have a target carb amount. Let's say that's like 200 grams. Then have a rough target fiber. And then I would say that's going to be like, let's say, I think 35 grams is going to be like a healthy spot if you're having 200 grams of carbs. And now I wouldn't fret. I would make this a minimum. If you have 50 grams of carbs, it's probably not going to be so massively different in thermodynamics. If you have 70 grams of carbs, it's still kind of, worst case scenario, let's say that this fiber is 2 calories per gram. So you're going to be, it's 35 grams of carbs difference than your normal. So you're 70 calories less that day. It's like, okay, I think that's actually like sizable, but like the law of averages is going to play out. So you'll probably find like an average fiber amount that you're pretty consistent with. So you don't have to overcorrect every time because the law of averages. And I'd rather be in the position where like my target fiber is like 35 grams. And then often like, if I hit a day where I'm like 60 grams, I'm like, all right, yeah. So it's probably in a little bit more of a calorie deficit today. Cool. And then, maybe, I'm averaging 35 and then I hit a day where I'm like at 70 grams. I'm like, all right, cool. So probably, a little bit higher on that. And that's kind of how I would play the game. I would just have a target carb amount. I'd have a target fiber amount, and then I'd play the game that way, especially if like fat loss has been stubborn for me. Because if you're playing the net carb game, you're almost kind of like making the game easier for yourself, which is probably going to make it harder to progress. Because then you're assuming foods or certain carbs are 0 calories when they may be, 2 calories per gram or something. So you're starting to vote a little bit against you in terms of, just the little fine tuning pieces. So that's kind of my little masterclass on net carbs. So hopefully that's helpful. It's interesting that, there is so much variance in it. Purple Monster, one of the best for sure. Grape goes well. Some say that seed oils can contribute to inflammation. Others say this isn't true. In your experience, what do you think about seed oils? I haven't read too much, for or against. I think that it sounds like one of those new kids on the block thing, like, we're all up in roar. And I think that it's kind of like majoring in the minors. I don't think it's going to be like if you have a seed oil versus like, a seed oil versus I'm even trying to think of like what's another oil, but like oil per oil, I don't think there's going to be massive changes. I don't think it's going to be huge. Coconut oil versus, whatever seed oil. I don't think that is going to be the biggest argument. I could see if we're eating more oils in total, more seed oils, oil is just high in calorie density. So I would say there's probably going to be a 1-to-1 ratio of like the more seed oils you have, the more, negative health outcomes that you're going to have because your calories are definitely going to be higher when you're having more oils, that you're probably going to have more of those things associated with high body fat. So that's going to be, lower lifespan. That could be cardiovascular disease. That could be diabetes, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't think that the seed oil is going to be the big battle to kind of, remedy those kinds of situations. But, if we get really good randomized clinical trials that last, a year, this seed oil versus this seed oil, protein is the same, calories are the same, and we see some big changes, that would be very interesting to me. But like, I don't know if I've seen enough on that to this point. I think a lot of it's been like observational at this point. So that's kind of like where I'm at on that. I still have to look into it on a deeper level. But that's kind of my initial thoughts. Is it's typically not this one component of a diet that's going to throw things off. It's typically going to be the thermodynamics, the protein intake, and being active. And I think that more often we fail on these three primary big movers than if we're putting all of our eggs in like, what seed oils am I having? Like, they're bad. It's like, well, if you're having 5,000 calories and you avoid all the seed oils, like, what are we doing here? Do we think our health is going to improve? So I think that that's like a piece of it. If we're not getting our 5,000 steps per day, but like we're avoiding seed oils, like great job. If you're ranting at people and calling them bad for seed oils, but like, you're not getting 5,000 steps a day, you're not hitting your protein intake, you're not in a calorie deficit, you're not maintaining a healthy body composition. I feel like that's the battle that we should really, really be focusing on, in my opinion. So that's kind of where I'm at, but definitely I think that's on me. I gotta look into that a little bit more. Why is Cupcake is the queen of Floptropica? Yes. All right. Let's see. Oh, good. Great question. Okay. Hello, big fan. Appreciate that. I want to ask about how to gain weight and at the same time lose belly fats without losing muscle gains. So you want to gain weight and lose fat without losing muscle. So if you're going to gain so much muscle that your weight goes up and your fat goes down, you don't have to worry about losing muscle. Like if your fat is going down and your weight's going up, like you're definitely like that doesn't even have to be like a fear because you're accomplishing that goal. The thing is, this goal is very inefficient. So let me open up the whiteboard. So it's going to be very inefficient to shoot for. So lose fat and gain muscle at same time. So I'd say that in general is just going to be less efficient. However, I think it's the best way to do it if we're starting from high body fat. So I'd say this is typically, for males going to be 20% plus. Probably for females being more like 30% plus. Yeah, that's totally legible. But in general, if we're starting from high body fat, then I would say get into a calorie deficit. So we want to go into fat loss and we want to try to gain muscle along the same way. Gain muscle. The thing here is you mentioned that you want to see a net loss on the scale going, a net gain on the scale. We can only gain muscle so fast. And I want to say this first. So great year of gaining muscle. Like I want to say an outstanding year of gaining muscle. And this is going to be someone who's new to strength training. This is going to be, somebody who has got the right mindset. When they get into the gym, they're training intensely, they're getting stronger. It would be amazing if they gained 10 to 20 pounds of muscle. 20 pounds is actually that's kind of outlier unless need a pretty amazing genetics. But 10 pounds of pure muscle. Like I'm not saying some people are like, I gained 40 pounds of weight in my first year. Like, look how big I am. And it's like, all right, you gained 5 to 10% of body fat, but you definitely gained 10 pounds of muscle. So let's say a great year of training where you gain muscle, 10 pounds. So that's 10 pounds plus. A great year of fat loss would be something of you can lose 5 pounds per month pretty reliably. So that'd be 50 pounds of fat in a year. And so if we want to do them both at the same time, this is what's going to happen in the case of I want to gain weight and lose fat. So what this is going to do is you're going to hamper the rate that you lose fat because, at best, you lose 10 pounds of fat gain, well, in this case, we'll say at best, you're going to lose 9 pounds of fat, gain 10 pounds of muscle. And I can even tell you why this is going to be unlikely. So this will be you're up, plus 1 pound. So you did the job, but and this is like, let's say a year's time, you're severely undercutting how much fat you could lose. And the most powerful thing we have to look more muscular and more physically impressive is to lose fat. Because then your muscles are popping, they look bigger, all those kinds of things. It's a more visual transformation by getting leaner. So one thing is we're going to be holding back the amount that we can do there. And so you're pretty much training the whole time at maintenance calories. And we know that training in a surplus will yield more gains. So this is where I would say get the fat loss done fast. So let's say the same thing. If you just have 10 pounds of fat to lose 10 pounds of fat in like 8 weeks, and that's giving you plenty of time. Then, and if we're talking about a year's time, you now have 44 weeks in a calorie surplus to push mass gains. And so I would put my eggs in the basket that you're going to gain way more muscle in this situation than hampering yourself and you're going to feel better sooner because you get the fat loss goal accomplished sooner. So by going with a periodized approach, which means you prioritize something at some point. So you get the fat loss done. Let's say you want to lose 10 pounds of body fat. You get that done 8 weeks. Cool. Now we can go fully into a mass gaining phase. And now we can spend 40 weeks or something in a calorie surplus where you're probably going to be, able to hit more PRs, gain more muscle, gain that quicker. And then you got 4 weeks to do like a mini cut and then cut off like 5 to 10 pounds or so. And that I think is going to give you to a further endpoint better. Because I would love to say, do this game plan. I want to gain weight and lose fat at the same time, but I'll be really real with you. We all freaking do. I weigh 220 right now, relatively lean. I'd love to put on 30 pounds and be leaner and put on 35 pounds of muscle. But like, I don't have a genie in a bottle right now. Like, it's just not realistic. That's just not how like things work. Like I can say the goal of I want to be 250 pounds and shredded, but like, that doesn't mean that it's possible. So my point here is like, what is the most realistic and likely way that we're going to get there the quickest and best way? What I would say in that case is going to be, you're going to want to get the fat loss phase done, get to a lean foundation, and then that's going to build this runway, this massive runway to be in a calorie surplus. And then you just can ride that out. And best case scenario is you're gaining 1 to 2 pounds per month and you're not getting any less lean. And you're like, whoa. So I'm lean already. I look good now. And I just keep getting more and more jacked without gaining much body fat. Isn't that what we want at the end of the day anyway? So that's going to put you in your lean quicker, in a aesthetic physique from day one or after the fat loss phase is done, and you're already looking more muscular, and then you get all this time to build, and then you're always a mini cut away from your best physique yet. Rather than just try to, kind of pigeonhole your fat loss, you're going to just keep this body fat and just slowly recomp. Year over year, you gain 5 to 10 pounds of muscle and you lose like 5 pounds of fat. Maybe in 10 years or 5 years, you're going to be finally at that level of leanness that's going to show that muscle. So that's why I like going the opposite direction. Get fat loss done first, build the runway, and then take that for a long period of time. Hopefully that is helpful. But really went into. Here we go. Gasp. Because knowledge. Well, hopefully it was helpful. Also, thank you, Nathaniel Green. Appreciate that a ton. What's good, dude? What is good? I think, what's good? Elon and Yumi's treat collection is going to be pretty good. So I appreciate you a ton. You don't have to make a donation, but I always appreciate it. I got a couple questions, I think, from Instagram. There was one that was here for a bit. Cool. Do you utilize any food tracking apps and any tips when you are calculating the calories for meals? Here, I'll walk you guys through what I do for these. So we're going to go into, oh no, an error occurred. No, we're good. We're rolling. Okay, so what I use to track, so I just use Keep It Simple, my Fitness Pal I just use that, and our clients use that as well. It syncs to Trainerize, the platform that we deliver the Healthy Flex prescription through. So I'm a big fan of MyFitnessPal. I just think they've done a good job. They've been in the game for a long period of time, so I just stuck with it. Now, tips on meal planning, or kind of like planning your meals or spreading your meals, calculating calories for meals / spreading calories. Here's going to be the big rocks to focus on. So first, daily macro targets. And these you're going to have to find by just track your normal day-to-day intake and track your day-by-day, weight fluctuations. And then you're kind of going to find like what calories your body maintains weight at. So we want to set our protein. So be like 1 gram per pound, ideal body weight. So just like a lean body weight for yourself. And then honestly, like, carbs and fats, you can do whatever blend for the most part. Just don't have like 0 grams of fat. Probably have that at least at like 30, 40 grams of fat. And then you can go from there. But daily macronutrient targets, let's say it's 1 gram per pound ideal body weight. And then, you just figure out your calories from there. And calories. And then what you're going to want to do from here. So meal planning, just divide your protein. So protein, divide that in 3 to 5 meals and spread throughout the day. And then I would honestly say, unless you want to get in the means, in the weeds, it doesn't really matter much else. Training fasted, you can, if you feel better training fasted, go for it. I'd say get a protein-containing meal so you can hit protein synthesis. But you could train fasted if you just feel good that way. But most likely, a little carbs will be helpful. So I'd have a small meal before your training, but then just like, it's really up to you. Like, spread your protein into 3 to 5 feedings. If you're deep into a deficit, like, then I would probably be strategic with my carbs around my training. But outside of that, like, you got freedom. Like, you can save all your fats and carbs for one big later meal, and that's cool. But I think that there's most value in spreading your protein to 3 to 5 feedings. If you're deep into a deficit, if you're very, very lean, or deep into deficit, prioritize carbs around training before and after. So a little bit before, then you'll feel better during your training session, and then you can refill your glycogen stores if you get that sometime after. But outside of that, like, as far as spreading out calories, you have so much freedom here, and it's not going to cost you in terms of progress. That, like, okay, you only had 4 meals today. Like, oh man, you had 5 meals. Like, it's really not that big a deal. And that's where, like, for me, like, I'll run you through how my day works. I wake up at 4:15 a.m. I go have my first meal. It's a little bit of carbs and it's 50 grams of protein. I go do my workout. I come back home. And right now, sometimes I do like a run too within the next like 3-4 hours. And so then I have like a post-workout meal, which is also going to be similar to what I had before I left. It's like 400 calories. It's at least 50 grams of protein and then probably like 50 grams of carbs. And so I just had those 2 meals right around my training. Then it really depends on the day. Like, I may eat in 3 hours, I may eat in 5 hours, I may eat in 2 hours like later. But I typically will have like 2 other moderate sized meals, maybe 300 to 500 calories. Usually with the last meal is probably going to be, a little bit larger, or maybe I'll have a snack later. But I really have probably like 4 core meals. So the pre-training, after training, maybe a little snack if I go running. And then I'll probably eat something after I go running. And then I have like a larger like dinner. So I'm kind of rocking with 4 meals right now. And that's just what works for me at this point. So whatever really works for you, you got a lot of flexibility. Like, if that's going to be, 1 meal a day, that's cool. But I would probably get 2 separate protein feedings and then have that 1 meal a day with all your fats and carbs and delicious stuff. So hopefully that's helpful for you. But if at the end of the day, I just hope that it lets you know that you got a lot of flexibility, which is sometimes a good thing, sometimes a bad thing, because we know about the paradox of choice. When we have too many choices, we don't make a decision. So sometimes when someone just says, do X, it's a little bit easier. And that's why coaching is so useful. By the way, if you're interested in coaching, hit the link in my bio, go to hennessy.com/coaching. You can apply to join my coaching program, the Healthy Flesh Subscription. Otherwise, this has been fun. I will see you guys next week, Tuesday, 2 p.m. EST, and we'll get the next FlexRx going. That's going to be episode 16. Thank you guys. I will see you sometime soon. Bye.